Good afternoon. This is Akashvani, and I'm Anuja Kumar with the Midday News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara-Dissanayake in New Delhi. Rajya Sabha discusses glorious journey of 75 years of Indian Constitution. Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says it is time to reaffirm the commitment to build India. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge accuses government of undermining the constitution. Nation remembers its brave hearts on Vijay Divas being celebrated today, commemorating India's victory over Pakistan in 1971 war. President, Vice President and Prime Minister express grief on the demise of tabla maestro Zakir Hussain. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President-elect Donald Trump discuss situation in Syria and hostages held by Hamas. And in cricket, rain disrupts third day's play between India and Australia at Brisbane. Hosts were 51 for 4 at stumps. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held bilateral talks with the visiting Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara-Dissanayake in New Delhi today. Both leaders held discussions on the issues of mutual interest. After the talks, the two leaders are now holding a press conference in New Delhi. We now go over live to the press briefing.
एक भरोसेमंद और विश्वसनीय पार्टनर बना रहेगा. एक बार फिर मैं राष्ट्रपति दिशानायक और उनके प्रतिनिधि मंडल का भारत में स्वागत करता हूं. मैं उनकी बोध गया यात्रा के लिए शुभकामनाएं देता हूं कि यह आध्यात्मिक ऊर्जा और प्रेरणा से भरपूर हो. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Earlier today, the visiting dignitary was accorded a ceremonial reception at the four courts of Rashtrapati Bhavan this morning. President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomed Mr. Dissanayake. The Sri Lankan president paid floral tributes to Father of the Nation, Mahatma Gandhi, at Rajghat. The Sri Lankan president, who is on a 3-day visit to India, arrived in New Delhi on Sunday. He was received by Minister of State for Information and Broadcasting, Dr. L. Murugan. The Sri Lankan president is scheduled to meet President Draupadi Murmu and Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar this evening. He will also visit Bodh Gaya in Bihar. This is the first bilateral visit of President Dissanayake to India since he assumed presidency. Ministry of External Affairs said the visit is expected to further strengthen the multifaceted and mutually beneficial cooperation between the two countries. Mr. Dissanayake will also participate in a business event in Delhi to promote investment and commercial linkages between India and Sri Lanka. The merchandise trade between India and Sri Lanka has reached $5.5 billion in 2023-24. Sri Lanka is India's closest maritime neighbour in the Indian Ocean region and holds a central place in the Prime Minister Modi's vision of Sagar and India's neighbourhood-first policy. The Rajya Sabha today began a special discussion on the glorious journey of 75 years of the Constitution of India, with Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman leading the charge from the Treasury benches to hit out at the opposition on the issue of freedom of expression and protecting the Constitution. Initiating the discussion, she cited the then Congress government's decision to jail the famous lyricist Majrooh Sultanpuri and veteran actor Balraj Sahni for criticizing the rule in 1949. She also targeted the Congress for imposing emergency in the country, saying the term of the Lok Sabha was extended during the emergency without proper justification, and during the extended term, the entire opposition was put into jail. Ms. Sitharaman said it is time to reaffirm commitment to build India that will uphold the spirit enshrined in this sacred document. She said India's experience has shown that the country's constitution remains robust and has stood the test of time.
India today stands out in a very separate league of its own. That post-Second World War, over 50 countries had become independent and they had their constitution written, but many have changed their constitutions, not just amended them, but our constitution has stood the test of time.
The minister asserted that BJP has always been committed for the welfare of women and women reservation. She added that despite having a brute majority, the then Rajiv Gandhi government did not bring the women reservation bill, but her government passed the legislation to provide quota to women in the Lok Sabha and the state assemblies.
I also appreciate the immense role played by All India Women's Conference, who have done extremely good. The first act that we passed is the reservation for women, which was the new act passed in the new parliament. I'd like to reiterate that Bharatiya Janata Party has always been committed for women and women's participation in politics.
Participating in the discussion, Leader of Opposition in the House, Mallikarjun Kharge, accused the government of undermining the constitution. He said it is the Congress which has given universal adult franchise rights to the people to vote. On the issue of employment, Mr. Kharge alleged that the centre has failed to fulfill its promises of providing 2 crore jobs every year. He listed out the various schemes brought by the Congress government for the welfare of the poor. Mr. Kharge said the schemes like MG Narega, Food Security Act and land reforms were intended to establish socialism in the country. The discussion is underway. The BJP today took a dig at Congress following a media report that former party president Sonia Gandhi had taken away donated papers of first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, from the Prime Minister's Museum and Library in 2008. A member of the Prime Minister's Museum and Library Society and historian Rizwan Kadri has written to senior Congress leader Rahul Gandhi recently seeking the return of the papers. Talking to media outside the Parliament, BJP spokesperson Sambit Patra said it has come to the fore that 51 cartons of letters that were written by Nehruji to Edwina Mountbatten, Jayaprakash Narayan and several others were taken away by Sonia Gandhi when she was the UPA chairperson.
हम 2 चीजें जानना चाहते हैं। एक तो क्या राहुल वो वाकई सोनिया जी से बात करके इन चिट्ठियों को देश के हवाले करेंगे। हम जानना चाहते हैं कि आखिर नेहरू जी ने एडविना माउंटबेटन को क्या लिखा, किस प्रकार का संवाद नेहरू जी और जयप्रकाश नारायण जी के बीच में हुआ। और दूसरी बात है, जब ये निर्णय लिया गया था कि 2010 में डिजिटाइजेशन होगा इन सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स का, तो आनंद फानन में डिजिटाइजेशन से ठीक पहले सोनिया गांधी जी 51 कार्टन्स चिट्ठी नेहरू जी का लेके चली गई। आखिर क्यों?
Meanwhile, Congress has hit back at BJP, saying the ruling party is trying to divert the attention from the issue related to the bribery charges against a prominent business group. Party MP Imran Masood told the media outside the parliament that it is a political agenda to divert the issue.
उसके खिलाफ एक्शन होना चाहिए। सोनिया जी खुद मेंबर ऑफ पार्लियामेंट है, राहुल जी को लिखने का क्या मतलब है? ये सारा का सारा पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा है।
Mr. Patra also raised the issue during the question hour in the Lok Sabha. Union Minister Prahlad Joshi has hit out at the Congress for questioning the EVMs. He was talking to media outside the Parliament this morning, referring to Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Umar Abdullah's criticism of Congress for its inconsistent stance on EVMs. Mr. Joshi said even some opposition parties are raising fingers on the main opposition party. He said that the Congress party should realize its mistakes.
सिर्फ ईवीएम को आप दोषी ठहरा नहीं सकते। नाउ दे शुड रियलाइज कांग्रेस पार्टी व्हाट आई फील पर्सनली दे शुड अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज देयर मिस्टेक, दे शुड इंट्रोस्पेक्ट व्हाट इज देयर प्रॉब्लम बिकॉज वी आल्सो वांट ए कंस्ट्रक्टिव अपोजिशन.
Earlier, Mr. Abdullah had said that once one gets 100 Lok Sabha seats using the same EVMs and celebrates that as a victory, one cannot then turn around and blame the EVMs when the results are not as per expectations. The central government has said that there are about 21 fake universities in the country. Replying to supplementaries in the Lok Sabha today, Minister of State for Education Sukanta Majumdar said in the last 10 years, 12 fake universities have been closed. Mr. Majumdar said that UGC has released the list of fake universities and recognized universities every year before the academic session. This is Akashvani giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. And for details of stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and download the News on AIR app. The nation is remembering its martyrs on the occasion of Vijay Divas, commemorating India's victory over Pakistan in 1971 war. Rich tributes are being paid to the martyrs who laid down their lives during the war. The end of the war also resulted in subsequent secession of East Pakistan into Bangladesh. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh today paid tributes to the valiant soldiers of the 1971 war. To mark the day, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh also laid a wreath at the National War Memorial in New Delhi. Minister of State for Defence Sanjay Seth, Chief of Defence Staff General Anil Chauhan, Army Chief General Upendra Dwivedi, Air Force Chief Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh, Defence Secretary Rajesh Kumar Singh and Vice Chief of Navy Vice Admiral Krishna Swaminathan also laid wreaths and paid homage to the fallen heroes. On the second day of his Chhattisgarh visit, Union Home Minister Amit Shah today interacted with the family members of the martyred security personnel in Jagdalpur. More from our Raipur correspondent.
The Union Home Minister, while interacting with the family members of the martyred Jawans in Jagdalpur, said that the Ministry of Home Affairs, Tribal Affairs and Rural Development of the Government of India will jointly formulate a special plan to address the problems of the families of the martyred Jawans and to compensate for the loss suffered by them. He said that to ensure that no other family suffers the pain that these families have suffered, the central and Chhattisgarh government together will eliminate Naxalism from this entire area by March 2026. Earlier, the Union Home Minister paid tribute to the martyred Jawans at the Amar Shahid Vatika in Jagdalpur. He also planted saplings under the Ek Ped Shahidon Ke Naam campaign. Vikalp Shukla, Akashvani News, Raipur.
Legendary tabla maestro Zakir Hussain passed away in the United States last night. He was 73. Zakir Hussain had been admitted to a hospital in San Francisco after experiencing heart-related problems. Family sources said that the maestro was battling blood pressure-related problems. President, Vice President and Prime Minister have expressed grief on the demise of tabla maestro Zakir Hussain. In a social media post, President Draupadi Murmu said Ustad Zakir Hussain was known for his extraordinary creativity and inventiveness. President Murmu said that Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar said Zakir Hussain leaves behind a rich legacy and an indelible imprint on Bharat's cultural landscape. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Zakir Hussain will be remembered as a true genius who revolutionized the world of Indian classical music. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President-elect Donald Trump have discussed developments in Syria and the hostages held by Hamas. Both leaders spoke on phone to discuss the recent push to secure the release of Israeli and foreign hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. Netanyahu said the issue will be a challenge for Trump when he takes office unless it is resolved before he is sworn in on 20th of January. Netanyahu reiterated that recent airstrikes against Syrian military sites were carried out to ensure that the weapons would not be used against Israel in the future. In cricket, India were 51 for 4 at the end of a rain-marred day 3 of the third test match of the Border Gavaskar Trophy against Australia at the Gabba in Brisbane. The visitors are still trailing by 394 runs based on the first innings. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi holds talks with Sri Lankan President Anura Modi-Dissanayake in New Delhi. Rajya Sabha discusses glorious journey of 75 years of Indian Constitution. Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman says it is time to reaffirm commitment to build India. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge accuses Congress accuses government of undermining the constitution. Nation remembers its brave hearts on Vijay Divas being celebrated today, commemorating India's victory over Pakistan in 1971 war. President, Vice President and Prime Minister express grief on the demise of tabla maestro Zakir Hussain. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and US President-elect Donald Trump discuss situation in Syria and hostages held by Hamas. And with that, we end the midday news.